hit that.
And this is We Could Have Been Doctors.
A non-Yinzer's guide to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep, that's right. I can tell you that Amos Zeroaway was the leading rusher for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2002, but I couldn't tell you what the middle name of the first girl I ever loved was.
I could tell you that we drafted Antonio Dingle in the 7th round in 1999, but I have no idea what I ate for breakfast.
All right, so let's just get into it. Let's talk about a recap of Week 9. We're the way that we, situation the show is that we first talk about the rest of the NFL, then we go ahead and jump into our Pittsburgh Steelers and their performance, if you want to call it, against the Dallas Cowboys last week.
You could call it a showing. We showed up to the game. I'd say that's about all we did. We did get off the bus because I saw us on the field. Not sure it was the same team that's been playing the other 7 games, but we were there.
And hopefully we have proof that we will have players actually available for the game against the Bengals this weekend. So, with that being said, Josh, let's talk about Thursday Night Football. What's your one headline from the Packers-49ers game?
Aaron Rodgers is still very good.
Agreed.
All right, Texans-Jaguars.
Turns out the Jaguars, whether they have Gardner Minshew or they have some bum that they picked up off the street, they're still going to lose, so it just doesn't matter. What do you think about that Ravens-Colts game?
I was hoping you were going to give me Giants-Washington. Ravens-Colts, Lamar Jackson is a better running back than he is a quarterback, and I'm going to stay that till I die.
Did you see that he just said to Rich Eisen, he said something to the effect of the defense knows what they're going to call before we even go out there, so he's calling his play caller out there.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot for the defense to be like,
he's going to run the ball.
Damn it.
It's a weak side run.
Damn it. How did they know?
All right, fine. I'll give you the softball. What did you think about Giants-Washington?
I think that this is a positive thing. Alex Smith, what a redemption arc. I think Ben is in line to get comeback player of the year just because of the season that we're having as a team. But Alex Smith, literally, I thought the dude's leg was gone. And I know he almost died. So I just love that story. I hope he gets to keep starting.
Video with his necrotic leg, practically falling off. I vomit. It's not good.
And how ironic is it that he gets in because Kyle Allen gets his leg torn right under.
Yeah, which is what I have written in my notes from Red Zone. Rip Washington quarterbacks, they don't have knees. So
at least they still have Dan Snyder, though.
They do have Dan Snyder and being racist, so
they're in good hands.
They are in good hands.
The football team. The football team.
My bad.
All right, thank you for the softball. You please tell me your thoughts on the Panthers-Chiefs.
Panthers-Chiefs. That's an interesting one. I'll keep it quick. I'll keep it short. Patrick Mahomes is good. Their offense is fast. The Panthers system is finally getting into place. So this took a couple weeks, but you can kind of see it. Matt Rule from Baylor, he's a good coach. He knows what he's doing. Just takes some time.
I hope they get CMC back because their offense looked good.
He's out this week, so I don't know about that one.
That's tough.
Here, I'll give you Lions-Vikings.
Dalvin Cook what is it? Okay, there's something about Minnesota that breeds quarterbacks who are mediocre, but running backs who know how to tank, be a tank engine.
See, there was this Twitter poll I saw, and it was who would you rather have on the 1-yard line, Dalvin Cook or Derrick Henry? And I was like,
if you asked our offensive coordinator, it would be McFarland.
Anthony McFarland,
my bad.
Anthony McFarland, and we'd maybe run him on a jet sweep and get -5 yards. I think Dalvin Cook's good. I think he's top 2 running backs. If you think Derrick Henry's better, I don't know. I think Dalvin Cook's better. I feel like he actually gets more touches, runs the ball more. I don't know. I like his style.
We'll get into this as we have a podcast. We'll talk about football more, but I just want to state I think running back is so oversaturated. It doesn't matter.
There's so many of them. We got James Conner running the ball.
And hopefully we talk about that because he did not get to carry the ball enough against the Cowboys, the worst rush defense in the league. We'll get there, all right?
Yeah, worst rush defense, and we couldn't get anything. All right, we're doing the rest of these rapid fire.
Okay, one word answers. You ready? Chargers, Raiders.
Electric. Bears, Titans.
Henry. Josh Allen's Bills versus Russell Wilson's Seahawks.
Disappointing. And then Broncos, Falcons.
Late game tutty. Tell me what you think about Tua versus Kyler.
as hyped as it was, it met all expectations. That game was electric from start to finish. That wasn't a one-word answer, but I don't care.
The Dolphins officially won the Josh Rosen Bowl.
You get Jets Patriots because I'm saving one for myself.
I just wanted to say that it looks like the Jets actually wanted to win. They scored 2 touchdowns offensively for the first time since week 1. Sad that Belichick actually just hates the Jets, and there's a huge curse that'll never die. All right, you get Brady.
And then of course, I get Saints Bucks. First observation is the Saints love running little cute gadget plays with Taysom Hill that don't do fuck all, and then all of a sudden they do so much, and you're like, wow, that was a really good call. Great job, great coaching. Second off, I don't know if it's Bruce Arians, if it's Brady, if it's Antonio Brown, but there was a couple drives, or there's one drive that stood out in particular. Brady forced the ball to AB on 3 consecutive throws. I don't know if any of them were completions, and then the fourth time he did it, it was a pick. So all I'm saying is...
Hey, I know that offensive style.
I know that too. Hey, AB, thanks for ruining another team because you weren't done with the Steelers and you weren't done with the Patriots, and you're a cancer to the league. I love you, though. Call me Mr. Big Chest.
You ready now?
All right, so let's get into our Steelers. Ben has such a knack for faking injury and then coming back and looking like he's God Almighty. I mean, I'm not tired of it because he always does it, but still.
No one walks into the locker room looking dejected and defeated at the end of the first half and comes out slinging it better than Ben Roethlisberger.
Not even after the half. He delivered a touchdown pass on the same drive where he buckled his knees or whatever.
My knees are hurt. Ben doesn't need legs. Put him out there on a little like a Segway and he'll be fine.
Look, I'm not here to criticize as much because Ben finished with he finished with the 4th highest PFF grading in the league this last week, which is surprising given the game. I mean, if you're finishing with the likes of Josh Allen and Matt Ryan in this league, I guess you're doing well.
And when you take that into consideration with how many points both of those quarterbacks put up compared to what Ben put up, that is actually kind of impressive.
Well,
those were both 30-plus point performances.
To speak to exactly how godsend it is to have Ben has thrown 18 touchdowns and 4 interceptions through 8 games this year. Through the entire season last year, we had Duck and Rudolph throw for 18 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. So it's nice to have that.
That was also Ben Roethlisberger's 45th rally from a tie or comeback win in his career.
I think I remember reading he's 5th all time.
Yeah.
5th all time.
Well, I mean, I got a sick quote from Ben, which is, if you didn't know who America's team was, you should have seen the stands and all the terrible towels. Dallas may be America's team, but we're the world's team because we've got fans everywhere and they're the best in the world.
That's what I'm saying is, maybe he is a little banged up. I doubt it. But isn't it just funny that the thing that might keep him out next week is COVID and, he got it from a tight end we hardly even use.
A tight end who's in there to occasionally miss blocks on a run play and let James Conner get tackled in the backfield. Back to Ben, I'd like to make an observation that his 2-minute offense, you can clearly tell when the Steelers are playing when Ben's calling plays and when Finkner's calling plays because all of a sudden the ball starts moving and it's empty sets and it's Ben yelling at Ebron, yelling at Juju, yelling at them like, get over there. Like there's some times in the game where Ebron was jogging around and Ben turned at him and is like, you're on the other side. And then all of a sudden it goes for a completion or a first down. He starts moving. And I think, uneducated opinion, because I'm not a doctor, we should play the 2-minute offense all game, every game. And no one else should call plays but Ben. Backyard football all the time. Let's go. We don't need a running back.
My only problem with that is that we do abandon the run. And I get it because
I don't need it. Ben
doesn't want to hand the ball off. I get that he's playing hero ball, but I don't know. I feel like we abandoned Connor. We tried to mix Snell and McFarland in there when it wasn't working. I think Connor was having a fine day, or at least we couldn't tell if he was going to have a fine day or not because we didn't give him enough carries.
Run!
I'm calling it the 2-minute offense, but I guess I should start calling it the Ben offense because we ran it at not 2 minutes. It was just when Ben got, I think, upset with Finkner. He's like, okay, I'm calling these myself. Get out of here.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
Well, let's just hope that he's there next week. I mean, Tomlin said earlier this week that Mason is getting the bulk of the work in practice, and
which makes no sense because I feel like Dobbs would be hands down the better choice all around. I feel like everything we've seen from Dobbs is better than Mason.
I just think buttholes everywhere in Pittsburgh are being clenched at the thought of seeing Rudolph take the field one more time.
Dude, I'd rather see Duck. That kid didn't give a crap. He just slang that ball out there. Him with Claypool, I could see some deep TDs.
I think Rudolph will have his day, honestly, but I think he just needs a little bit more time. Dobbs might just be like a little bit ready to go. Plus, he's got some mobility. I would like to really see what he does with us. But these last two games, we've dug ourselves in a hole, and I get that. It's hard to come back from that. But, if you look at the Titans and what they do with Derrick Henry, and I know we don't have Derrick Henry,
which is part of the problem. We don't have a bell cow where it's like, give him this ball, he will get you 10 yards.
I think Connor has been promising enough that we shouldn't abandon him. I think he should be getting solid carries into that third quarter.
Run!
I mean, I know you because you're a panicked watcher that you were worried, but I was not worried the entire game because I knew Ben was coming back. But I wish, if we would have had Bell, we would have been running the ball more, or at least dumping the ball off the Bell, getting him in open space. I don't know why we're not doing it with Connor.
Run!
Real quick on that point, there's been a lot of missed catches of guys coming out of the backfield. Like, sure, the ball's not exactly 100%, but it's like within that sphere of you're an NFL player, catch that. I feel like we tighten up some of those drops, some of those things. Like, I don't know if it's just Ebron's not comfortable with Ben, or Claypool doesn't know how to run a route out of the backfield, or McFarland's a rookie, but it's like batten down some of that stuff. And it's like, you can kind of replace Bell in the aggregate with Connor for the short stuff, and then McFarland out of the backfield because he's fast.
Moneyball Josh.
Moneyball Josh. It's my favorite movie.
Well, as we're talking about sure-handed players, I mean, Juju has 55 targets the entire season. He has 0 drops. He's pulling and I think he has 2 tackles. So he's really pulling a Larry Fitzgerald type season where he has more tackles than he has drops.
He is very good and very physical after the catch, which is something that all the announcers like to note. They're like, did you see that? He's physical after the catch. It's like, which is something that I feel like we haven't had since, I guess, AB left. And even then, AB kind of stopped doing that to an extent. But like having Juju come across, catch a ball in the middle of the field, know he's about to get absolutely murdered by the safety over the top, and he still just takes a hit and then gets another 3-4 yards. It's like, okay.
That's exactly what I'm getting at, is his physicality, and the fact that he doesn't drop the ball is why Ben trusts him so much. I mean, obviously they've had time together, but get this, like over the last 3 weeks, Juju has 7 third down catches for first down, right? So 44% of the third down conversions we've had over the last 3 weeks, he's been the one to convert.
You have how many snaps he draws the double on? Do you have that?
I wouldn't know that. I'm not Nate Silver. I don't have those.
We should get him on the podcast. He could probably provide some detailed analysis for us.
Sure, he'd love to join this ramshackle of a performance. But I'm just saying, whoever the quarterback trusts the most on third down is like who he trusts the most on every down. So it's weird that Claypool is getting the most targets. And
is Deontay getting more than Juju or less than Juju?
I believe Juju had more targets. He also was on the field more than all the other receivers. And he played a good portion of them from the slot. So it's interesting that we have Juju, who's pretty decent sized receiver, and he's playing the slot, while we have Deontay, who's smaller, and Claypool, who's massive on the outside. So it's a total mismatch for other defenses. I'm surprised that we can't throw, like crazy numbers every time. Like Ben is the 15th ranked quarterback, and I'm totally impressed with his play, and I think that he's doing a nice job. But I'm surprised he's not doing better.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well. Do you want to flip it to the defense real quick? We could always pivot back to the offense.
After that last game, I'm not sure I want to, but I know that we have to.
I feel like we have to. And the number one thing that I have written on my defensive notes is slow linebackers. And
they're slow, but
caveated on that is, are slow linebackers covering their fast slot receivers across the middle of the field? and then getting gashed for 15 yards because they can't cover that.
No, exactly. Why do we have these guys playing a zone defense? I don't understand it at all. TJ Watt
dropping back into pass coverage. I get it, but if you have TJ Watt, you don't drop him into pass coverage. You send him.
If you look at the Dolphins are playing like straight man coverage. They have Xavier Howard. They have all these guys. They play like man coverage defense. When we have Cam Sutton, we have Joe Hayden, we have Steven Nelson. We have these guys can take corner, like they can take their receiver like man to man. And Spillane had an interception. Highsmith had an interception last week. Why don't we put just a linebacker on a tight end? Like that is what teams do. I think we could take these guys man up. I have no idea why we're running the zone.
I don't either. I think it potentially I think they run the zone because it sets up the all-out blitz later in the game. So they run the zone majority of the game, and then all of a sudden they switch to man and they send the entire kitchen sink. And it
how did that work late in the game? I mean, they drove down the field with like a minute 40 left.
Yeah,
that's throw to CeeDee Lamb, and then they gave us another heart attack on the goal line.
Yes. Like, I feel like it's there. I don't think the execution is there necessarily. Like, I don't know. I also feel like I have written down in our notes, did we become a bend, don't break defense all of a sudden? Like, did we become, hey, we're okay giving up these short yardage plays. We're okay giving up a couple first downs as long as we don't let them in the end zone. Like, we're okay giving up field goals. Like, it's not so much we are stopping these guys to a 3-and-out right now. It's they're going to march down the field on us. We're going to stop them. Maybe they'll put up points in field goal range, but hopefully it's not a touchdown.
Yeah, I think, and I get the idea, that was like what the Patriots did for several years. But my problem with that is that if you look at the time of possession, they had a 7-minute like difference on us in time of possession. In addition, like we ran only 8 less plays than them, right? So they ran 71, we ran 63. So we're running about the same amount of plays, but they get 7 more minutes of time of possession, which is huge.
And that's because that also flips back to the offense with our 3-and-outs. There are many series where we get out on the field, it is 3 pass plays in a row. We are out in less than 10 seconds of game time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Our situationals, defense and offense we're getting by right now, but they need to improve, when we're playing teams that aren't the Cowboys every week.
Which brings up, I guess, potentially the Bengals coming into this week.
It's a trap.
I think out of all the stretch of games that the Steelers have, Cowboys, Bengals, whoever we have the week after, because I can't remember.
We played the Jaguars week 11, which everyone else is saying is going to be our Achilles heel.
We traditionally do very bad against the Jaguars, but I think we should focus on the Bengals right now. Joe Burrow looks like a first-round pick. He looks like a guy who, you know what? He probably deserved getting picked in the first round. The Bengals defense is a thing. It's there. It's not non-existent. It's definitely kind of shown up within the last week or two more than it has the rest of the season.
That we're getting the Bengals, just like we got the Ravens, we're getting a divisional foe. I don't care how well the team is doing necessarily. We're getting a divisional foe off of a bye week. I think it's total BS. We should be refreshed. We just played on the road against the Ravens and Cowboys. I think the week before that we were on the road in Tennessee. So that's 3 harsh road weeks without a bye. There's no people are criticizing our performance against the Cowboys. I think as gassed as we are, I'm not surprised with the performance, and I hope that we can pull it together here against the Bengals.
And we kind of have a worst case scenario coming into the Bengals with COVID apparently deciding to run rampant through the Steelers. Not rampant, but losing Ben, losing who else was on that? Williams was on that. Vince Williams was on it.
You could just tell that it's bad enough because we had to sign Trey Edmonds back. Let's just be thankful that we're playing the Bengals. We're 65-38 all time against them. We won 10 straight against the Bengals, and including last year, the game that Duck came in for the first time. We pulled
quack.
When we pulled him for the first time, Mason, came in Mason came out and Duck came in and won that game for us. So it's going to be funny again if Mason gets PTSD playing the Bengals again and we see Dobbs anyways. So I just think if there's any team I want to be playing right now, despite there being a bye week, I'm glad it's the Bengals because maybe it'll, ignite some juice in us.
What's the weather looking like in Pittsburgh?
I don't know, but
well, I'm feeling that we're due for a running back game. Rain, love that.
We are non-Yinzers, so we don't know the weather off the top of our head.
70% chance of rain, 15-mile-per-hour wind, 61% humidity. That sounds good to me. Yeah, there's a good chance that this will be at least some rain during the game because it's a 4:25 start. So let's do like a quick 3 keys to the game. So like 3 keys for the Steelers to win the game against the Bengals.
I would say get Connor involved in the game.
Run the ball.
I would say we have to make sure that our corners are playing on the receivers and not the linebackers. And how about we actually try using our special teams this week?
Speaking of special teams, Joe Hayden returning punts. Did anyone else see that, or was that just me?
No, he's like, what, 35, 36? How old is he?
He's like 45. He's got, who knows? The dude's been forever. He looks like an old man. I don't get how he's the only person who we can put out there to return punts.
I think we forgot that Deontay Johnson was a second-team All-Pro punt returner last year. And we also forgot that Ray McLeod has been doing a nice job this year.
You could honestly, if you put anyone out there, defense excluded and offensive line excluded, I would have been happier. Because, like, it's Joe Hayden. Like, the Cowboys see that. They're like, okay, he's not returning the ball. Like, this guy is not going to run with this ball. He's just going to get it. Like, there's no way he's got a first move that's going to shake any special teams. Or, like, guys out of college are going to be able to tackle Joe Hayden when he's returning a punt.
Hey, at least we don't have to put Switzer back there anymore, so that's fine.
Did you have to Google Switzer's name?
No, I
can't remember that.
I was going to say Spitzer or Switzer. It didn't matter if we had to pronounce his name because no matter how you pronounce his name, he's going to call for a fair catch. So.
Wait, is he Bengals or Browns? Is this the rematch against?
He's a Brown.
Oh, he's a Brown. All right, it's not the revenge game against Switzer.
Ben's favorite dump off. They never dumped off.
Ben's favorite dumpster.
Clock!
All right, so this is the end of the podcast. We're going to be able to point out what we thought the play of the game was and what we thought the stat of the game was. So I'm going to take the play of the game this time, and Josh is going to take the stat of the game. So I think that the play of the game might be a little unsung. Sometimes defense, especially when it's not a turnover, it's kind of not hurt as much. But it was the 3rd and 10. It was the Cowboys were driving on their own 40-yard line. And there's 1:49 left in the game. This is their, toward the time of their comeback. Joe Hayden makes a great tackle in the open field on Zeke Elliott. There's about 20 yards ahead of him where he was easily going to get the first down. The Cowboys, they only needed, they needed that touchdown to take the lead. I think that they get that touchdown, that drive if Joe Hayden doesn't make a good stop there. That's on a crazy play where this backup Jamoke quarterback, is spinning and he throws it out. And I was just like, is this what it feels like to go up against Ben Roethlisberger all the time? Speaking of Ben Roethlisberger.
Speaking of Ben Roethlisberger, I have written down at the top of my page, Ben now has 17 career seasons without his team ever finishing below 500. That's the most by any player in NFL history. So if that just goes to show you, ride or die, Ben Roethlisberger is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I would say that pairs pretty nicely with the fact that Mike Tomlin, for the 14th straight season, every season he's been a coach, he's had no losing season. And that's already confirmed midway through this one. And I'm pretty sure that's the longest streak to start a career as a head coach with a non-losing season.
No coach has ever had a longer streak to begin his career
or
her career.
Good way to be safe there, Josh. For all those female coaches that have existed as head coaches in the NFL.
Correct.
Well, I just think it's funny because last year he went 8-8, and we know that, as at least the Steelers fans, that felt way more like 11-5 than it did 8-8.
That felt like we got drugged through the mud week in, week out, but it was electric watching Duck. I will not lie.
And I hope it was just as electric as everyone listening to this podcast because, Josh, we have one in the books. Let's go Steelers 9-0. I can smell it. Can you?
I can smell it. I can also smell myself because I am dripping in Steelers swag.
I hate that is how we're going to close this thing out. All right. I'm Brady.
And I'm Josh.
And we could have
been doctors.
But we decided to do this podcast instead.